Months after multiple dogs were found in Marlin living in deplorable conditions, the Marlin Police Chief James Hummel was arrested and charged in the investigation.
News 10's Jessica Rajkumar is in studio with us and has more on these charges. Jessica.
Yes, that's right, Lauren and Gordon. I went to the Falls County Courthouse around 3 this afternoon and received a copy of the charges filed against Hummel. One felony charge of cruelty of non-livestock animals in the 3rd degree, along with 9 misdemeanors.
We never thought this day was going to come, and it is sigh of relief that those babies are going to get justice.
A year ago, in early January of 2024, Marlin citizens were furious after finding these dogs in deplorable conditions. At least 2 dogs died. We spoke with Chief James Hummel when it happened, who said kennels needed to be maintained properly.
Training on cleaning the kennels. Maybe we haven't been cleaning them as good as maybe we should have been cleaning them.
Residents have routinely protested to get justice for the animals, and the Texas Rangers eventually came in to investigate the issue in June.
To be honest, I never thought anything like this could happen, ever, in a shelter. Especially when you have animal control officers that are employed through the city.
Animal advocates Joy Basto and Michelle Ann were on the scene shortly after the dogs were discovered and say they have been working tirelessly to find answers.
You have nightmares. You live those moments back over and over and over again. Every day we wake up, we think about it. We keep trying to process it. It's nice to finally get to a point where we're going to get some closure and have a happy ending.
Marlin resident Dustin Ulmer says that he hopes the arrest will bring changes to the stray dog situation in the city.
Let go of my hand.
You might remember this really disturbing video here. Police body camera showing 61-year-old George Henderson, who has Alzheimer's, getting punched in the head and knocked unconscious by a police officer in Guthrie, Kentucky. That officer accused Henderson of drugs and arrested him on 5 felony charges.
But now grand jury has decided not to indict him. Henderson went missing from his Clarksville home last December. Officer Jacob Pritchett found him at a gas station in Guthrie. A clerk claimed Henderson tried to break into his car. The officer then accused the Army veteran of using cocaine. He tried to take Henderson into custody, but it turned physical, and that's when the officer punched Henderson in the head. You see it there. The officer eventually learned Henderson was the subject of a silver alert, but he still took him to jail. Evidence showed Henderson didn't have any drugs or stolen property on him. He also tested negative for cocaine.
Good morning, and welcome to the Bad Apple Report. It's 7:30 a.m. bright and early right here at home on the range. Thank you so much for being here today, folks. I really appreciate it. We're going to start our day out looking at this guy, I guess. He's either a bad cop or a 90s supermodel. That was the look back then. I mean, post Cindy Crawford, there was like an era after her. It was like the Kate Moss era. That's this guy. He's sporting a good-looking shirt there, too. Juvenile Justice Detention Officer arrested for child abuse. Okay, he's not a supermodel. I'll quit screwing around. Let's get on with it. A Department of Juvenile Justice Detention Officer was arrested for child abuse after allegedly battering a 15-year-old male inmate at the Pinellas Juvenile Detention Center. Nice job there, buddy. According to Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, the incident occurred on March 11th, just the other day, 2025, when the inmate requested assistance from staff. When his requests went unanswered, he began kicking his cell door. Oh, look at this guy. Don't like that. No. Allegedly. Detention Officer Anthony Sandora, that's him, he's age 60. Sandora, the supermodel, who was assigned to the area, opened the door and entered the cell. Witnesses reported that Sandora slapped the inmate in the face, pushed him onto a bed, and threw his belongings into the hallway before leaving the cell. Nice. Not really. Deputies say that approximately 5 minutes later, the inmate began intentionally flooding his cell with water. Sandora returned, grabbed the inmate by the neck, pushed him onto the bed, and punched him in the face. The inmate was later moved to an isolation cell and was not injured. This guy was having a bad day. All right. But he looked good having a bad day. You know, if you're into that look. On March 12, 2025, deputies arrested Sandora on 1 count of child abuse. He was booked into the Pinellas County Jail. Sandora has been employed with the Department of Juvenile Justice for about 10 months before being terminated for violating department policies. 10 months. This guy was not made for that job, but he was made for the Bad Apple Report. Thank you so much for being here, folks. Let's move on with the show.
My son worked hard, took care of his daughter.
Nate Mueller's mother, surrounded by family and friends outside the Pike County Courthouse as Bowling Green's police chief delivered a bombshell.
The family deserves the truth about what happened to their son.
23-year-old Nathaniel Mueller, who was pursuing a dream as a fitness influencer.
This is what I want to do, is help others achieve their goals.
He disappeared mysteriously this past December, then was found dead February 28th in a pond. We interviewed Mueller's godmother, Ashley Ashby, Thursday.
There's somebody out here that knows what happened.
Friday, Police Chief Colonel Ty Bounds confirmed Ashby's suspicions, calling out other cops.
It is clear that the Pike County Sheriff's Office knew of the location of Mueller's body for a month prior to the discovery of his remains.
Bounds says he found out while analyzing robbery suspect cell phones, finding unsettling text messages connected to Mueller's disappearance.
And we were able to uncover a close, intimate relationship between one of the suspects in the robbery and a high-ranking official of the Pike County Sheriff's Office.
He would not name names, but says the evidence is now with his attorney, Chris Lozano.
I know that there are going to be repercussions. We are ready for them.
If I'm getting silenced because of exposing corruption in this county, then what the hell am I doing here anyway?
Meanwhile, here's Mueller's car, the same one found running with his keys, wallet, and clothing. It's not even in evidence.
That car, the day of the disappearance, they called the mother and told the mother to come get the vehicle.
Who gave up this car?
One of the officers that is in question.
The Pike County Sheriff answered me by email saying he had no comment about the police chief's allegations or Mueller's car.
Sheriff Stephen Cordy did confirm the chief deputy in question remains working for his department. This investigation has now been taken over by Highway Patrol, with the Attorney General acting as special prosecutor. For the Fox Files, I'm Chris Hayes.
It's that guy, the star of that new hit series. Orange is the new black and white. At least on this show. All right. Here is a former black and white who's now in orange, an off-duty Laredo ISD police officer. He was arrested for domestic violence allegations. They do that. The arrest occurred Thursday afternoon, March 13th at the 1200 block of Minuteman Drive. When Laredo police officers responded to that domestic abuse call at around 3 p.m. Wonder if he's a day drinker. I'm not a legend. During a preliminary investigation, 52-year-old Apollonio Zamora. He was identified as the suspect when a woman told the police that a relative had assaulted her, leading her to wanting to press charges. She'd had enough, allegedly. According to the investigator, Joe Beza, with Laredo police, a disagreement led to an argument, eventually becoming physical, and then, quote, he was charged with assault, family violence, and impeding breath. You know what that means, right? The victim did wanna, it's written. This guy writes like I talk. The victim did wanna press charges. The victim in this particular case is an adult, Beza added. All right, Beza. The LISD Police Department was notified of the incident, and Zamora was booked and taken to the Webb County Jail. Zamora, you goofball, you made it on the Bad Apple Report. Thank you all for being here. Let's move on with the show.
Rowe County Sheriff's Office arrested a county jailer. Chandler Sheffield is charged with sexual assault of an inmate. The Sheriff's Office says he had an inappropriate relationship with a female inmate. The 22-year-old is also charged with violating his oath of office. Jasmine Lee is working to learn more and will have an update at 6.
I did not sign off on any of my overtime. You cannot self-certify.
During fiscal year 2024, Lieutenant Quatisha Epps more than doubled her salary with overtime, taking home $406,000.
I can explain my overtime. I don't know if he was willing to explain
your overtime.
My overtime.
But that's only half the story, according to an EEOC complaint she filed in December that says her boss, former Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry, demanded monetary compensation in return, including requiring her to fund a trip to Miami for him and his wife.
He says that, you're going to start cutting me some of that overtime. So I would give him money. There was a day that he had me in his office after the bar exam. He told me to call his wife, act like I was like giving them a gift of, a gift of something. It's like $3,000.
Did you give them that $3,000?
Yes, I did.
Epps says it was during this time period that she was being sexually harassed and assaulted by Madry in what her attorney calls a textbook case of predatory abuse and victim silencing, using coercion to obtain compromising material, then weaponizing it to instill fear.
When he says that he wants something, I'm supposed to comply with it. He'll say, go close the door and close the door strip and send me something.
While he's still in the meeting?
While he's still in the meeting.
If you didn't?
There were not very many times that I didn't.
And as the overtime scandal was brewing in December, Epps decided to file for early retirement, which would require approval by Commissioner Tisch to leave the department in good standing.
And then he says that he's going to go upstairs and talk to her. I'll go upstairs and talk to her. I'll go upstairs and come here, come here, come here. And pulls my arm. And he takes me by my neck, pulling my head like closer to his groin. And he says, just kiss it a little bit. Just kiss it a little bit and let me get my mind right so I can get my mind right and go upstairs and talk to her.
1 month later, the Queens home of Madry searched by federal agents in this overtime abuse scandal that led to a shakeup in internal affairs. The chief and more than a dozen high-ranking officials NIA removed from their post. Madry denying the allegations of overtime abuse and sexual misconduct. His attorney telling Eyewitness News in response to this report, "We look forward to total vindication." Epps seeking the same.
Maybe in speaking out, maybe other victims will dig deep and find some courage in a place where I couldn't even find courage, that they may feel like they don't have to sit quietly in these situations, that this is wrong.
After initially being suspended, both Lieutenant Epps and Chief Madry have retired from the NYPD without any departmental charges of overtime abuse. Madry, however, is still under investigation by federal authorities who have contacted Epps about their investigation.
Looks like good news for Vallejo. See this guy right here? He's a bad cop. He's a bad apple, and he made it on the bad apple report. He's standing next to this other guy that is probably wishing he wasn't in a photo with him. But he is. Vallejo terminates police officer previously arrested for alleged felonies. It says here, a Vallejo police officer arrested last year on felony domestic violence related charges that were dropped. He's been terminated from the agency. Officers received a brief department-wide email Thursday informing them that Ronald Morris Dupree had been released from the department, and everybody cheered. Sources with knowledge of the matter told Open Vallejo that's what they did. The sources spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss internal personnel matters. Looks like there's a mole in the police department leaking information to us on the Bad Apple Report. I like it. Dupree did not respond to a request for comment. Aw. Oakland police arrested Dupree on February 14th, 2024. He was booked into Santa Rita Jail on charges of inflicting corporal injury on a current or former romantic partner, threats, and stalking. Although initially held without bail, authorities released Dupree without charges the day after his arrest. He's special. He's a blue line thug, allegedly. The alleged victim, Dupree's ex-girlfriend, told Oakland police that she reported his conduct to Vallejo police, who told her they would, quote, look into it, according to the East Bay Times. She later received a text message from a burner application stating, quote, I hope calling Ronnie job finally ran him away from you. Okay. Whatever that, and you should have died a long time ago, the newspaper reported. Okay, let's just, craziness there. Dupree joined the Vallejo Police Department on October 2020, left briefly to join the Napa Police Department. Oh, then returned to Vallejo, earning multiple commendations. Wow, Napa was lucky to get rid of that guy. I lived in Napa for a long time. It was awesome. Vallejo Police spokesperson Sergeant Rashid Hollis declined to comment on Dupree's termination. Over the past 20 years, firings have remained rare at the Vallejo Police Department, and successful ones rarer still. The latter included Officer Chase Calhoun, who was fired in 2013 for alleged on-duty extra encounters, Officer Ryan McMahon, fired in 2020 for alleged endangering of another officer during a shooting, Captain John Whitley, also fired in 2019 after raising concerns about officers bending the tips of their badges to commemorate police shootings and other alleged misconducts. He settled a whistleblower lawsuit against the city for $900,000 in 2023. He's one of those rich bad apples. Knows how to work the system, allegedly. Okay. Other officers who have been fired eventually won their jobs back. They include Lieutenant Michael Nicciolini, who was fired for sending threatening email to a journalist and other alleged misconduct. Okay, Detective Jarrett Ton, who was fired in 2020 over the killing of Sean Monterosa, and Lieutenant Herman Robinson, who was fired after he forwarded 5 emails to Whitney when he was no longer with the department. All 3 officers were terminated in 2021. The city did not state a reason for Dupree's termination, the sources said. However, as a probationary employee, he enjoyed fewer protections than other officers that have earned permanent positions with the department. Well, I'll bet Dupree's he's not going back to Napa, but there's always Sassoon. I don't know, maybe Fairfield. All right, let's move on with the show.
County police officer and former school resource officer is charged with rape. Zachary Curley is accused of an assault that took place last September. Court documents say the allegations have nothing to do with his work at Garrett Kaiser Butler School. They also say the victim told police she had previously known Curley socially and later met him at a hotel where she was staying in Auburn. Court documents say he then sexually assaulted her after the victim told him no several times to his advances. The documents went on to say he later told detectives, and I quote here, "I should have taken the hint when she first said no the first time or two," end quote.
And we've got ourselves another deputy. Looking forward to his 15 minutes of shame here on the Bad Apple Report. A Clackamas County deputy who's been sentenced for repeatedly punching an inmate in the face. Wow. Okay, it's a lady loser cop, Gina Marie K. Fisher, age 45, who has pleaded guilty to second-degree misconduct. Well, Portland, Oregon, a former Clackamas County jail deputy, was sentenced on Wednesday after punching an inmate repeatedly in the face in 2023. It's a she, Gina Marie K. Fisher, perhaps, age 45, pleaded guilty to second-degree misconduct and receiving a sentence that included 1-year bench probation, 40 hours of community service, and surrendering her law enforcement certification as part of the plea agreement. Well, okay. First-degree official misconduct and harassment charges were dropped. The Clackamas County District Attorney official said, she's not going to get any jail time. Dang. Officials said surveillance video from July 27th, 2023 showed a Clackamas County jail inmate asleep in their holding cell. Fisher entered the cell, attempted to wake the inmate by shaking them, and then pulled up the outer shirt of the inmate, who was wearing multiple layers. The inmate took off a shirt and tossed it to the floor. Fisher stepped toward as the inmate threw another article of clothing, underhanded, which landed on her. Fisher began punching the victim in the face, striking him 6 times in 4 seconds. She went crazy on him, allegedly. The Clackamas County District Attorney Office said, okay, they didn't say that, I said that. Fisher's been placed on administrative leave since August 3rd, 2023, and after the review of the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, the case was independently investigated by Oregon State Police. After serving with the Sheriff's Office since 2015, Fisher was officially discharged from her role on February 7th of this year, 2025. She just barely got in trouble and lost her job for smacking somebody in the face 6 times repeatedly. Okay, let's move on.
Well, we are following some breaking news tonight at 6 as a judge has now ordered Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis to pay more than $54,000 for violating the Open Records Act. Zach Merchant with our 11 Alive political team broke the story. And Zach, you just got a copy of that court order. What have you learned here?
We did. We just got a hold of this Fulton County Superior Court order just in the last roughly 15 to 20 minutes. In it, Judge Rachel Krause rules that DA Fonnie Willis violated the State Open Records Act by failing to turn over documents requested by defense attorney Ashley Merchant. The judge wrote that the defendants, the Fulton County DA's office, were openly hostile to Merchant and failed to handle her requests in good faith. Merchant had sought a copy of confidentiality agreements signed by DA's office employees, as well as a list of attorneys hired by DA Willis. Judge Krause today gave the district attorney 30 days to pay Merchant $54,000 in attorney's fees and to turn over those requested files. Spokespeople for the DA's office did not immediately return requests for comment.
Just like that, another batch of bad apples, just like tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here today, just like every day. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. bright and early.